Okay, welcome back to the Gritty Hour. Today we have this is our first interview via Zoom, so you're all guinea pigs. First, I want to introduce my semi-regular, kind of regular, once in a while co-host Sean Purcell. Say hello, Sean,
Up, everybody? It's good to be here at the Gritty Hour.
at the Gritty Hour, and we're here today with Chris and Mel from C&M Housing Solutions in Morgantown. Is where you're based, Morgantown, PA.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and they've been doing all things real estate for the last few years, and I think they're very successful at it. Tell us a little bit about what you do down there, Chris and Mel.
Yeah, so well, first of all, thanks for having us on the show. Like you said, we're based in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. We're about an hour west of Philadelphia, and our bread and butter is flipping houses. We're real estate investors. We flip, we hold some rentals, but really what we do is we leverage money and pay good interest to lenders to flip and resell houses, just like you see on TV.
Yeah, except you actually make money at it.
Yeah, right. With real numbers.
Well, the one thing that just caught my ear is you said you guarantee. You say you guarantee a return.
Yeah, so it's a non-traditional sale. So when we buy a house, and you may have seen some of these messages either pinned up on telephone poles or along the side of the road where they say we buy houses with cash.
Yeah,
Obviously, we're not rolling in with cash.
you got shirts. What do? Do you staple the shirt to the telephone pole?
Yeah, I have a phone number on the back.
Yeah.
So it's not bags of cash, obviously, that we're rolling in with. But what we do is we partner with people that want to make a return on their money, and they're able to lend us the money to buy the house, pay for the closing costs, pay for the rehab funds in order to do the project, and we pay a return based on that.
So you have a stable, say, of investors that invest in the houses you want to buy.
We do, yeah. So we've been doing this now about 5 years, and started off slow, like most people, but we do about 20 to 30 houses a year. So we have a good pocket of lenders that we work with on a regular basis.
Cool. And the typical house, I guess, is a little rundown, needs work, needs some rehab to it, or
Yeah, so we see a little bit of everything. I mean, the stereotypical house that we would do is the one that, the roof is missing and holes here and there's garbage in the house, things that you would see on HGTV, right? But we run into all kinds of situations. It's not always the house that needs a ton of work. When you list with a real estate agent and you can get market value for it, we're probably not going to be the best fit for that person, but it doesn't always mean that the best fit is because it needs work or it doesn't need work. It could just be based on a particular situation where they need to get out quickly. They don't want a ton of people coming through the house. It's just a real clean, quick sale when you work with us. It doesn't have to be where we're coming in and rehabbing the whole house. It could just be that we're putting paint and carpet in. But for that particular person, it worked because they can get a clean sale, a quick sale, and get out.
right. As you were talking, I was just thinking there could be people like heirs to, parents passing away, and son and daughter or whomever doesn't want to be dealing with.
Oh yeah, see that a ton. Yep.
Mhm.
But no matter what the situation is, we're always buying at a discount. So that's where you protect yourself.
Mhm. So what kind of investor, like what kind of person would be a good investor? I already see Sean is sitting there writing his check, getting his checkbook out.
New York
But what
City-
kind of an investor? What?
I said New York City teacher. I'm ready.
Yeah, ready to rock. Money to burn, my friend. Yeah. But what constitutes a typical investor, or what kind of person would be a good investor for your projects?
So the best way I can describe it is the investor that works with us is the person that's not interested in getting into the work. They don't want to deal with the day-to-day. It's really the only truly passive income you can make in real estate. They say passive income comes from rentals, but you still have to deal with tenants and all kinds of issues that
Leaky
come with that,
toilets.
leaky toilets and pipes. And we have
Mhm.
rentals. We can speak from experience. It happens, right? So the truly passive way to get a good return on your money that will beat any bank or stock market out there is to put money in real estate where we do the work, protected by the asset of the real estate, and on the resale, give a healthy return to the investor. So it's really money in and getting money out plus interest.
So like a silent investor.
Absolutely. Yep. Most of the time we're getting people to lend from personal funds, from IRAs, 401ks, because lending on real estate, I believe in most cases is tax-free when it's not family.
Yes.
So, like if somebody had, well, what if somebody wanted to invest with C&M Housing Solutions and they have an IRA that's earning, maybe they have a retirement plan, say an IRA, and it's returning maybe a point and a half a year, even if they're invested in the stock market. How would they mechanically go about investing with you?
So each case is different depending on how you have to withdraw your funds, right? You may have some fees or penalties that come with that.
Mhm.
But we generally anywhere between an 8 and a 10% annualized return on all of our properties. Meaning whatever money that you have in the property, if you were to add 10% to that, divide that by 12 months, and then multiply how many months were in the project, which is an average of about 4 months. That's the interest you'd expect to get on that property back.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Right. Do you deal with investors that roll in and out of your projects from a retirement plan?
Yeah, a few.
And
Sometimes
obviously,
they're in, like a self-directed IRA.
right. So that would, and then they push a button, you get the money. You buy the house, you rehab the house, you sell the house, they get the money back. Is that it?
So, yeah, basically, I mean, in a nutshell.
Mhm.
But one thing that is important to say is the money never really comes directly to us, like say from them to a check to C&M. They're typically writing it to the title company, and then the title company, kind of filters through us. And then usually all the funds will come in, rehab funds and all that. And then when we're finished, we do the resale, but that's usually how we do it.
So to simplify the process for a second, when we get a contract on a property and we pull title on it and we're ready to settle, the investor, like she said, is wiring the money into the title company. That investor is the first lien on the property. It becomes the bank at that point. First, you wouldn't call it a lien, right? But first name on the insurance policy.
Yep.
That
Like a
way,
preferred stockholder, you get it first.
right. So on the payout, we have a note and mortgage against it with the terms, and each individual lender that we have has different terms. So we map out what those terms might look like. And let's say it's 10%, right? We get the money in for the property. The note and mortgage that we sign off on is 10% annualized. When we cash out of that property, that first lien, of course, is paid off first before any proceeds would come to us. So any liens on the property are satisfied, then whatever's left ends up being our profit. So we always protect the lender. The lender is always protected by the asset.
So you're stable. I hate to use the word stable, but your stable of investors are basically, I'll use the other definition of stable, a stable. In other words, they stick with you guys.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're making them happy on the return, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So, and what would somebody do? Like if somebody happens to be watching this podcast or listening to us, excuse me, how would they go about getting a hold of you guys?
Well, is it my turn to
Yeah.
talk? Well, you can always do email. Chris's email, chris@cnmhousingsolutions.com.
Is that Charlie, Nancy, Mary Housing Solutions?
Yeah.
CNM? Okay.
Yeah. We're also on Facebook, Instagram for any of your young listeners. If they want to follow us, you can see all of our progress. I put all of our flips up on there. And if you really want to, we're on TikTok as well. But
Oh, boy.
not too many people follow us on there.
Yeah. Well, is there a website too, or is it all through the social media?
Our website is sellmyhouseasis.com.
Wow, I like it. Yeah, very good. So, Sean,
Yes, sir.
you ready to mail that check?
I actually, I wrote two, one to Mel and one to Chris.
Mine better be bigger.
So I'm gonna be the investor, the new investor, right? Right. As a new investor, you said something earlier about, my return, because at the end of the day, when I invest, the goal is to get the return. And then you said divided by 12. Now, I'm a new investor. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. All right. So let's have some fun with it. We'll go through a little exercise. Right. I have a property under contract for 100,000.
Mhm.
It needs 50,000 in work. So what we're going to do, and we'll simplify this, we're going to take 100,000 and we're going to add closing costs to that. In our state, in Pennsylvania, is about 2%. So let's call it 102,000.
Mhm.
Plus the rehab funds is 50,000. Right. So now you're up to 152. If I take that 152,000 and I multiply that by 0.10, which is 10%, I come up with $15,200.
Mhm.
Divide that by 12, and I'm at 1266.67. That would be our monthly interest payment back to the lender. So if then we're into the project for an average of 4 months, then you would get back $5,000 in 4 months.
On 150,000?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we would end up borrowing 152 on that particular project and pay back 157.
Gotcha.
I'm
Now,
go ahead, Sean, I'm sorry.
no, it's all right. Now you said it each month of interest. I'm not getting paid monthly. I'm getting paid at the end some, right?
Right. So all the proceeds are paid out at the end, and it's protected by the note and mortgage, which is basically calculating our ownership on a per diem basis.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. For a new investor like me.
Right.
So I was gonna say, I'm not a mathematician, but I'd say that's pretty damn good return. I'm trying to think of where else that kind of return can be achieved. And even if you were
Nowhere.
in Bitcoin, you wouldn't make that much money.
In 4 months? No,
Huh?
not in 4 months.
Well, that's
Well,
what I'm saying. I mean, that's a pretty healthy return for a 4 month, even if it was a 6 month. So if a project went 6 months, you'd be adding 2 more months of interest to that project,
yes.
Right.
of return, excuse me.
And for math purposes, I was using a low number. Our average is a little bit more than that. I would say our average payout on a project is probably between 8 and 12,000 interest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of our bigger ones we've paid out 20.
Yeah.
And what's the biggest property monetarily you've invested in?
We're currently in it right now.
Uh-oh,
I'll let you talk about that.
you sitting in it?
Yeah. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing an old farmhouse, and I took on a different approach with this one in order to maximize our return. Put a 2-car garage with a master suite addition on the back side of it. So we went from 1,800 square feet to almost 4,000 square feet. So
Wow.
the resale on that is going to be almost 800,000. So, but we're all in it only for like 500,
500. Yeah.
something like that. So it'll be a good return for all of us, I would say.
500,000, and you're gonna hopefully realize 800, maybe
Yeah.
more. Yeah. In general, what's the housing market like, the real estate market like down there in PA? Are you getting the same? Because I'm sitting in Dutchess County, New York, and we have an influx of people from New York City moving up here for one reason or another, whatever you want to call it, COVID, whatever. So the real estate market in Dutchess County is red hot at the moment. And I'm thinking, as you guys were talking, maybe you're seeing the same influx from Philly, because your
Yeah.
approximation to Philly is probably the same as mine to New York City.
The funny thing is, right before the podcast here, we were at a settlement. We just bought a property today, and I was talking to the title agent, and she said that in our main vicinity here, she's seeing an influx of people from New York. We're not even getting the Philly people
Oh, really? Wow.
coming down.
Hmm.
She's had 7 out of 25 settlements this month have been from New York, relocating down here.
Really? And not so much from Philly, huh?
Not so much from
So the Philly's not experiencing the same evacuation that New York is, for
Philly
want of a
likes to
better
go
word.
So Philly goes Delaware, Maryland, New York
Uh-huh.
comes into Pennsylvania.
Wow, interesting. Well, Pennsylvania is a beautiful state. I've been to Morgantown. It's a beautiful part of the state.
It is.
Westchester, King of Prussia is all right in your wheelhouse there, right?
Yep.
But to answer your back question, the market it's red hot. It's really stupid here right now. It's just it's not the norm.
Mhm.
We're seeing properties that we put up that we flip aren't lasting more than 2 or 3 days with 30 or 40 people running through them, multiple offers. I think our last one had like 11 offers on it.
Yeah,
Wow,
people are putting in offers as high as 100,000 over asking.
unbelievable.
That's great for you guys.
I
C&M.
mean, yeah, we haven't personally seen that. That was a story that was told to me from a friend who, like, they just put their house on the market, and that was a ridiculous offer. But for the most part, we're seeing like 30, 40, 50,000 over
Yeah.
asking. So that ultimately, what it's kind of cool for us because, we already expected a decent profit and you just add that to it. So this is going to probably be our best year thanks to the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, whatever the fundamental, the underlying cause is, if it's COVID or just New York City, state of New York City or whatever, but it's a revelation to me that a lot of New York City people are moving down to your neck of the woods.
And the opportunities are starting to increase. We figured, as far as being investors, a lot of people like to try the spring market out, put their house on the market if it's livable, and then maybe come to us later in the fall. That seems to be the spot where we kind of pick up our contracts.
Mhm.
This year, the early spring was quiet for us, and we would average maybe 2 contracts a month.
Mhm.
To put in perspective, this month we have 9 in the month of May,
Mhm.
so it's really picking up.
But just to orient somebody who's not familiar with that area, so you said what'd you say, about 45 minutes west of Philly?
Yeah.
And what is that? Is Allentown near there too?
No,
Allen-
we're south of Allentown.
Yeah,
So
that's
south of Allentown, west of Philly, east of Gettysburg.
east of, yeah. We're right east of Lancaster.
Okay, Lancaster. Okay, so people will know in the
So-
general proximity.
Yeah, even your big cities, you got Philly and Harrisburg, we're smack in the middle of those two.
Mhm.
Are you considered a suburb of either of the cities?
We're
No.
not.
Okay.
That's
I'd say
interesting, though,
If
that
we were a suburb of anything, it would be Reading.
Reading, PA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, Bethlehem, PA is not far from you either, right? Like an hour north, maybe.
About an hour and change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reading's about 20 minutes.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful
We're
part of
reading
the
for
country.
everybody that's not.
Who's there? Who's knocking?
Oh, well, just full disclosure, I'm on the second floor of an antique center and some of the dealers are in downstairs. I'm gonna guess hanging a picture.
You tell them to knock it off. That's what you tell them.
Well, they'll put a nail through the ceiling and that'll go through my foot, so I don't want to say anything. Yeah. So, yeah, that's interesting. So, actually, to be honest, I'm interested in investing myself the way you portray it. So, in terms of guarantees, there's no guarantees in life, but if I say I was just coming in off the street, I was interested in putting 150, 200 grand into one of your projects, or blanket, is there a way to blanket that out, or you choose what project it goes to, or how does that work?
We typically like to put one lender against one project. Cleanest way to do it. And
Right.
if you were to be on that project, then like you said, there's no 100% guarantees, but we're going to guarantee it, because even if we end up losing money on the property, which we have in the past, we pay that. That's coming out of our pocket, our capital.
I see. So you're whatever return you propose to the potential investor, you're gonna make damn sure you make that
Right.
guarantee.
We always come last. So everybody else gets paid and we're last.
Right. In Wall Street parlance, the investor is the preferred shareholder, you're the common shareholder. Right.
Yeah. And the idea there is, we want you to come back again. Obviously, things happen from time to time, but if we can guarantee that, even if it comes out of our own pocket, then, the idea is to just keep winning moving forward. So I don't expect 100 times, 100% of the time to win, but for that one loss, we're going to make up for it.
Yeah.
That's just good business, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you did mention a lot of the people that invest with you, or most of them are return investors. In other words,
Mhm.
they move in and out of projects, but they trust you guys to handle it the right way.
Yes. So no, I'm not allowed to curse on this, right?
Sure you can.
Do it. Do
I'll
it.
be damned if you can't curse on here.
So I was gonna say is all bullshit aside.
Oh, well, let me edit that out.
It's not true. We actually do it's kind of cool, but we have had multiple people who have invested in us and in our projects who've actually come back and said that we are their favorite people to lend to because we are so quick to get in and out of our projects. They get their money back. They get, they make more money as they continue to roll it into our projects. And I mean, we even could get testimonials from other lenders that we've worked with. They love working with us.
That's the thing. And I mean, like I said, we've been doing this for 5 years and we made our mistakes in the first couple, but in the past 2 years, I'd say we really fine-tuned our process. And so, let me preface this by saying we split our business in half, which was the smartest thing we did. I do the marketing and sales, which is buying the houses, marketing for the houses. And as soon as we get something under contract that we're going to buy to flip, she does the budgeting and the scheduling and the working with the contractors. She does the project management. And she gets full credit for the fact that our first flip took about 9 months. And she's got this system down where we're in and out of most of our projects within about 5 or 6 weeks.
5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah. So if you think about that from an investment standpoint,
Does that
you're gonna
include,
put your
does that
money-
include, excuse me, does that include the sale of the property?
it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't.
Oh,
That's
okay. All right.
just the construction period.
That's just construction.
So like I
Gotcha,
said,
okay.
our average investment is about 4 months. We're in and out of the construction period in about 6 weeks.
Right. So what do you have, like a team of construction workers that you give them a call?
I basically GC everything. So I have a pool that I pull from.
Various general contractors, and they make it happen because they know you're cash on the barrel, right?
Yeah. Well, essentially I'm the general contractor and I sub everybody out.
I understand. But they respond when you call because you,
Well, I pay them and I pay them fast and I don't complain about their prices because I found the best prices when I hired them. So they like working with me. And after so many years, yeah, I have the same guys I go to all the time. And I'm usually, if I'm not at the top of the list, I'm pretty close to it.
well, Melissa, are you the one who makes the decisions as to what kind of rehab a house needs?
Yeah. So that took me, it was a little bit of a learning curve for both of us. I mean, when we walked into some of these projects, I just wanted to like tear them all apart and start over, like HGTV. So we kind of went through and we're like, we were doing too much. Then we went back and then I wasn't doing enough. And now I feel like we kind of found this nice little middle ground where, we do what we have to. And actually this market, it doesn't matter. I could do anything and I could sell it. But the reality is you don't have to do everything all the time. And I'm kind of finding that out as I go along. But
So you have to wear a lot of different hats, right? You have to be like an interior designer almost, and a general
Yes.
contractor, and Chris,
Yeah.
you have to be the shopper.
Whatever it is that you do.
Chris, you got to do the rest of that crap,
So it's actually, it's a great split in the business because as she's dealing with a project, that's a daily grind almost, when she's GCing, she's constantly in and out with contractors, getting bids, making sure the work's getting done, checking on the work, paying for it. The checks and balances are every day. So rather than me spend my time doing the same thing, I'm out getting the next project, the next 2 projects. That way she's lined up when she's done with hers.
Smart.
So Sean, you're physically located in Westchester County.
That's correct.
I'm in the county just north of you. I
That's-
can be,
no,
I
No,
can pick,
you're two counties. Putnam.
whatever. Putnam County's like 3 miles long. Take it easy.
Yeah,
whoa,
I'm not-
whoa.
So I can be there in about 25 minutes. We can be at Chris and Mel's in about 3 hours.
We could. Now, you guys said you've been doing it for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's incredible. So yeah, like obviously, like anything else, there's a learning curve, and I think you're hitting your stride now.
Yeah. It feels
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, that's
How
great.
do you guys have any, I sort of kind of know this going in that people that do what you do sort of have their own territories. Like, like a dog, you get up, you piss on it, and that's your territory.
Small
Is
way.
that true? Is that true in your industry? In other
Chris
words?
does all the peeing. I don't do this.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you respect one another's turf, so to speak, or?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, there's some, I would say some bigger players west and east of us that we've actually befriended, and there's so much business out there. There really doesn't have to be territories per se.
Mhm.
I mean, even if we had a goal, never mind the goal, we do about 30 houses a year, and that's in a market of over 1 million houses. So there's enough business for everybody out there.
Right.
But hold on. He says that, but he also is a very competitive person.
Mhm.
And he says basically, yes, we do have a few bigger players in our area that he's not worried about because he can beat out anybody anyway.
Yeah.
So
I-
I just thought I'd.
That's very sweet of you to say.
I would guess, I would guess in this type of field, like, there's going to be competition.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's, that location, that there's a mad dash for that, whatever you decide is a top tier location. And I'm sure you're not the only one looking at it.
Right.
Right. There's certain areas, some some more popular than others, but we send out postcards primarily to get our houses. It's just a simple postcard with a simple message that say, hey, if you have a house to sell, give us a call. And we'll go to appointments with people that are interested in selling their houses where, yes, there's maybe 5 or 6 postcards on the living room table or pinned up on the refrigerator that we see there is competition. And we know there's multiple investors coming through.
But we're personal. We're very personal. And I think that's what people like about us. If you go on our website, you know who we are. You go on my Facebook page, you know who we are. You get our postcard, you're going to know who we are. I can't tell you how many times local investors that we see, I'll go on their website and you don't know who they are. And that's a lot of the reason why people don't call them.
Yeah.
So we have that's like our thing. We just try and get our faces out there so everybody knows who we are.
Mhm. Well, that's a good, it sounds crass, but that's a good marketing technique.
Well,
Yeah.
to come off of that, then you've built some kind of legitimacy with your business because they feel like they've known you for 30 seconds, but at least they can see a face. Now, when I sit with them in their house, I talk to them about what their goals are. What are you looking for with the sale of this house? It's obvious that I'm there because you want to sell your house. But while I'm there, I don't care about the house at all. Just tell me about how I can help you. And if we're a good fit, then that's when we move on and purchase the house. So
Mhm.
it's funny to say we buy houses and I talk about the house 0% of the time.
But
And
they
that's,
feel like they're like fans with him now. They'll be like, oh, I've seen your videos. Oh, I love you. He's a hit with the old ladies. Oh my
oh,
God.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Now,
for you. Good for you, sir.
yeah. He's got that old lady market cornered. So you're not able to really nail down what the typical seller is and why they're motivated to sell. But I'm thinking, you probably get a lot of people that are just sons and daughters of people who passed away and own homes. That's what,
No, it's a big mix.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Huge mix.
or people may be desperate to move. They have a job in San Antonio and they got to get the hell out of PA for some reason or whatever.
If there is a need to sell the house and the house is not deemed financially livable, and what I mean by that is if a bank won't put money against it, if there's a hole in your roof, if your septic system fails, something wrong with the plumbing to the fact where maybe there's a leak and it's causing some surface mold, things like that, the bank will not finance the house. We then become the best option because we can come in and we can remedy those problems for people that can't do it on their own.
Right.
Maybe to put that much money into the house to be able to resell it. So that if you were to tier that down for motivation, that's probably your worst case scenario, that where everything in the house is wrong. And then you have your life situations where maybe a divorce is forcing them into a sale, where you said maybe that's an estate or a probate situation. We see all of that, but I can't even say that we see more of one than the other. It's a real good mix.
Right. I see what you're saying. Was what, as Mel was saying, just it's a cornucopia, so to speak, of reasons.
Mm.
Yeah. And but there's really only one reason for someone to invest with you, and that's to make money. And it sounds like you have that down to a science. And I know the market is hot. I'm sure well, it seems like you're geared up to capitalize on that, but you know as well as everyone, it's not gonna last forever, but I'm sure you have that planned out as well. But
Have to pivot. You always have to pay attention and pivot.
right, that's what I meant. But the underlying reason for that was, I was gonna say, do you have any plans to scale up, so to speak? Maybe look at other markets, other states?
Yeah, I think
You have
we're,
any-
we're currently doing that. As far as scaling the business is going to happen organically. We've since added some team members that are helping us out on the sales side, a little bit on the transactional side. So the more contracts we get, there's a lot of communication between us and the title company. And for us to do that full time would take away from something else, as in project management, looking for the next house. So we have people in place to do that with us,
Right,
right, on a daily basis. And as that happens, the scale is going to happen organically. As the sales gets better, as that person is able to help us out, then you get more properties in the house. And we're just going to have to backfill the pieces with team players that can help us scale that way. But as far as us, we have a team of 4 right now.
right.
We're probably maxed out at what we're doing right now.
Well, I mean, scale in that regard, in terms of the operation of your business, but are you thinking about maybe scaling your territory, the width and breadth of your territory?
Yes, we're marketing in Florida right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're looking for Airbnbs. And actually, we would like to get some, like a different kind of lender in that respect, because we're looking for someone maybe that would do long-term lending with us. Essentially, I guess it really doesn't matter if you're in a project for 4 months or 12 months. If you go in 4 months, 3 times a year, your return's the same for 12 months. So
Sure, if you're prorating it, it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter to the investor. Yeah.
So ultimately, we'd love to get some Airbnbs down there. The return is better than a regular rental. The difference, I'm sure you've looked at Airbnbs down there. You can rent a place depending on where, for $1,500 a week, as opposed to renting it for $1,500 a month. So, your return is much better with Airbnbs. So that's sort of the next step for us.
Is that why you picked Florida for that reason?
We picked Florida because we like Florida.
Just to give you an excuse to go down there and go to the beach in January?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit of testing out a new market to see if we can do business down there, and selfishly see if we can land something for ourselves.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Understood. Gotcha. Well, that's smart. That sounds like a great
And
idea.
Florida doesn't have a season either, which is nice. I mean, Jersey Shore, you can rent it out from the end of May to August is really your season, whereas Florida, you can kind of rent it all year. So it's actually a better market to be in that respect.
As long as there's an air conditioner in the window.
Yeah.
Right.
What makes so like a rental in Florida and Airbnb in Florida, why is there such a difference? Because the concept's the same, right?
Well, it's almost the same respect as if you put, so as we explain our flips, like we're paying a higher return on our flips because we're in and out. It's short-term borrow where we're going to pay you 8-10%, right?
Mhm.
So it's the same idea. You're taking it's basically a vacation rental at this point. You're renting it for a week. We're able to maximize the cash flow on that by night, $150 a night. It's really hotel rates.
Yeah.
Right. So if you map that out and you were able to fill it for 30 days, your cash flow on that is anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 a month.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
Is that dissimilar to our area, Sean? Do you know? Or-
No, well, I would guess, and Chris and Mel, if you jump in if I'm wrong, but in Florida, you're talking about beach property, vacation property. In New York, you're not probably really getting that, except for maybe the summertime when you're going in the Hudson Valley region.
I would actually beg to differ. If you look at Airbnb, I bet you'll see the prices are pretty similar anywhere you go.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you're
And
gonna
what-
pay between $1,000 to $2,000 a week on an Airbnb for a house.
Single family house. Yeah.
Does it matter location?
Not really. I mean, I've looked at. We've been talking about vacation. I will say, in all fairness, I haven't looked in New York, but I've looked at other locations. We are very big on traveling at this point, especially taking the kids around. And I think you could do 1,000 to 2,000 as a budget and you can find a house. I mean, yeah, some areas you might get a bigger house, some you might get a smaller house, but I said that in general, there seems to always be something that you can do in any area you go.
I would
So-
agree with that. I think the big spike is actually beachfront.
Yeah.
If it's not beachfront, even I'm talking even just a block away from the beach, they level out to about 140, 150 a night, I would say is the average.
Okay.
So you have to pick and choose what Airbnb you get into down there.
Yeah, I would say your vacancy rate might be a little more if you don't have a popular area to go. So maybe the weekly rates might be close to being similar, but maybe you don't rent it every week of the year. You know what I mean?
But
So-
in the winter months in the Northeast, I'm sure the vacancy rate is damn near zero.
In the winter.
Yeah.
I'm talking about for Florida.
Oh,
Oh, for
yeah,
Florida,
Florida,
yeah.
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 Well, you think about that. So we did a little bit of research, and as hard as it is, we thought a little bit, right? So
I thought I saw smoke coming out of your head.
the market that we're marketing to right now is the Palm Beach area, West Palm Beach, North Palm Beach, anywhere from Brevard down to just about Miami. So what we have there is the beach is close. The stadiums in Miami for football and baseball pro are close. You have 4 spring training stadiums that are within a half-hour drive. So all year round, you have something to do, and people would travel there to see one of those.
Right. Even in the summer months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's makes sense. Sure. And any other states besides Florida, or is that your well, actually what I wanted to ask you was, do you know anybody that's doing what you do down in those areas?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have someone in almost every state.
Yeah. So we're in a mastermind group with real estate investors across the country.
Mastermind, Sean, mastermind group.
I used to play that board game as a kid.
So we meet, we talk constantly on Facebook like everybody else does, but we meet in person 4 times a year. And it's basically to strategize what's working in your markets, what's not working, talking money, talking properties, talking strategies, talking team building and things like that. So we feed off of each other, and yeah, we've met somebody in just about every state.
That's awesome.
So it's good to have, if you're scaling your territory, it's good to have someone close or near the territory you're scaling into. So, you know, maybe push a door down for you or whatever. So, well, that's good.
So-
It's, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sean.
No, it's all right. I was just saying, so it seems like it's a big networking type of industry or field, whatever you want to call it.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like that's pretty much how everyone kind of gets their footing.
Yeah.
It's a relationship business from top to bottom.
Is there any kind of restrictions that you can foresee as someone who's investing in your properties here in PA to, you know, when that project is done, well, I like to roll it over. Well, I have something in West Palm. Would that be a restriction for that investor that you can think of?
No.
No, not
Just
at all. And that's why
crossing I mean, just crossing
like,
those.
I'm sorry. I was going to say
No.
that's why I put one investor versus one property, because if you cash out of a property in Pennsylvania, there's nothing to say that you can't put that money somewhere else.
Right.
It's a little more difficult when you start combining lenders, and maybe they call that sometimes syndicating. That you may not have enough to roll over into the next property, and maybe not everybody wants to come with you. So
Do you ever
I
have
like
that scenario? I know it's not your best case scenario, but do you ever have that scenario? Where
Well,
you have
ideally, syndicating, you know, we would be looking at more for apartment complexes.
Right.
Which is, you know, something that we have considered diving into in the future as well. It's just not, you know, I don't think at the top of our radar, but
No.
that would be next best case, because you're going to be putting a couple million together in that case.
Right, it's a bigger project, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense, unless you have one sweetheart investor that's, you know, here's all of my money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time. So I know you said it earlier, but if you could say it again, what would be the best way for someone to get a hold of you guys that may be interested in choosing this as an investment platform?
So I would say you probably have some show notes, right? You can put this information down in there, but Chris.
Show
at-
notes. I
Chris
barely
at-
have a laptop. What are you kidding? Show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris at cnmhousingsolutions.com.
Right.
Then there's cnmhousingsolutions@gmail.com. That would get to Mel.
All of that info is on your website, which I will link to below
Yeah.
for our YouTube channel, but the audio channel, yes, it'll be on there as well.
So the website, there's actually two websites. If you want to put both of them in there, there's sellmyhouseasis.com.
Right.
That's our Pennsylvania market. And cashforyourhome.net is our Florida market.
Oh, so you've taken some steps to expand down there in Florida.
We've been marketing for 2 months down there.
Mm.
now.
All right.
So you're looking for both, I guess. Well, you're always looking for both the seller and the buyer, but the seller and the investor, excuse me. But you're going to need both down there as well. So,
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
and I would think the former would be harder since it's a new market to you guys.
I don't think so.
No?
We look at the properties the same way. So we kind of have a process now. So it's really just comping the properties versus what the area is worth. And once you know that, then we know how to make our offers.
Right. All right. Well, thank you again. I have my finger on the record button, which I'll either hit stop record. It's right next to my wire funds button, so I got to be careful. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming
Yeah.
by, and stay tuned. You'll see more of Sean as the summer progresses, right? Once you dismiss those kids for summer school.
I'm happy to have done my maiden voyage on the Gritty Hour.
Maiden voyage. Yes, you got to take a shower after this.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck expanding down there in Florida, guys, and we'll talk to you all very soon.
Yeah,
All right,
best of
thank
luck.
you.
All right. Take care.